the car review that features four-wheel steering, a sometimes laggy turbocharged engine and lashings of electro-synth pop. You know it's either the 80s or the French. The 2017 Renault Megane GT is Renault's latest time warp from a decade of decadence, and the sportiest variant of the freshly updated Megane range available until the new car's models arrive. Priced from $38,490 before options and on-road costs, the Megane GT is somewhat of a warm hatch. It's a similar approach taken to fellow Ami Francais, the $42,990 Peugeot 308 GT, which offers sporty looks and performance but not the hotter hotness of the GTI. Going by that thinking then, the Renault Megane Rs is going to be a cracker, because the GT is a real hoot. The sportier styling elements, and iron blue metallic paint, the $600 option and one of its choices, really suit the lines of a new Megane. Both front and rear LED driving lamp signatures are unique and smart looking, plus the car was also fitted with the $1,990 premium pack, which includes LED headlamps as well. From a side profile, there is nothing too risky about the Megane. The door handles aren't hidden, the chrome trim pieces are subtle, there's no crazy vertical window of the big bump of the Megane II, it's a modern and classy Euro hatch. Even the basic, dangled radio antenna is cool, in an old-school way. The somewhat aggressive air dome at the front balances the giant chrome Renault diamond badge, and the bright rear balance and diffuser help give the car a lower stance. The 18-inch Magny-Cours alloy wheels complete the athletic-looking package. Before we unlock the door and jump the note, a quick note about that stupid key. For the unfamiliar, the key fob for the Megane is a rectangular, plastic block. It's just the right size to fit nowhere and be inconvenient all the time. It's hard to tell which button is which at night, and there's no keyless entry. Well, there is, but I couldn't get it to work. As the readers have noted, you have to walk away to lock the car for keyless access. If you press the lock button, you have to press the unlock button, so you have to drop your bags to fumble with the card to get the car unlocked. There's no hole, so you can't clip it to your key or belt or braid. Plus there's not even a handy place to keep it in the car. Sure, it's a talking piece when you flap it down next to your croissant on the coffee table, mainly because it's too awkward to keep in your pocket, and the carbon fiber looking cover is quite smart, but I found it a pain and kept losing it inside various pockets and bags over the course of the week. Keen to hear any Renault key success stories out there though. Once you do step inside, the sharp blue ambient lighting and trim highlights make the interior feel just as smart and classy as the outside. The blue and black Alcantara Sport seats are very comfortable and, while manually adjustable, good to get into a functional driving position. There's blue stitching on the leather steering wheel, which is nice to hold, plus some blue carbon fiber looking trim elements on the dash and door panels. In the middle of the dashboard and part of the premium pack is an 8.7-inch portrait LCD display running the Renault Link to software. Presentation from the infotainment screen is clear, but the navigation and user experience can be fiddly. Plus, I can't stand the buttons for volume on the side of the panel. I know it looks cool and works well with the design aesthetic, but they are horrible to use on the move. Jumping around from navigation to audio to car settings feels a little too complex, and the multiple points to access the drive modes, from the Renault Cars button and little flower mode button on the center console, had me wondering whether each had a slightly different function. The screen can be slow to react in some circumstances, too. Connecting the phone was easy, but each time I plugged it in to charge I received a message saying the Bluetooth and USB connections were clashing. Every other car seems to manage this without issue. Note: the dials underneath the screen are actually for the climate control, and it took me a minute of blasting hot air to figure out why the volume wasn't cranking during Kavinsky's Testarossa Auto Drive. Sound comes via a 12-speaker Bose system, another part of the premium pack that includes a subwoofer in a spare wheel well, and is punchy enough, but still not as bright at the top end as I'd like. Just on the boot, the 60 minutes and 40 seconds folding seats don't offer a flat load floor when flipped down. The regular boot is deep and the volume of 434 liters is pretty good, the same as the Peugeot and well up on the 380 liters in the Volkswagen Golf, but the full capacity of 1247 liters isn't something we imagine you will use a lot. The rear seats too are comfortable, but tight. I found my knees and toes were rubbing on the back of the driver's seat as set in my position. The outside seats continue the Alcantara theme, but the center is a higher leather bump. You do get vents, map pockets and an armrest with cup holders though. But for all its snappy blue bits and comfortable seats, the Megane GT still suffers from no one thinks like this French ergonomics, and who can drive. Translation from left to right. Example 1. The cruise control speed adjustment and cancel/redesignate functions are on the steering wheel where you expect them to be. You have to activate the cruise by a 3-position rocker switch on the center console behind the handbrake button though. Part width. Under the dash near your right knee is a large cavity. In the opposite spot on the left side of the car is a large fuse box. This takes up half the space of the glove box and is really just poorly planned left-to-right drive engineering. Either that or people in left-drive countries need more glove space. You heard it here first. And what? That audio stock sits just where you can't never see it while on the move. After time you do get used to button and dial placement. But surely this would be easier to just leave on the face of the steering wheel like we've come to expect. But that wouldn't be very French, would it? Under the bonnet is a 1.6-liter turbocharged petrol engine with 151 kilowatts and 280 Nm available. Peak power doesn't come on until 6,000 RPM and went revving the Renault out. Despite the aid of synthesized engine noise in the cabin, the little 1.6 doesn't sound all that alluring. There's higher-pitched buzziness to the motor, which is amplified when you shift the car into its sport driving mode and let the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission manage for itself. Like this, the Megane tends to hold gears way too long, making a short urban stint in the sports setting a bit of an awkward-sounding experience. Leave it in its regular setting around town then. Shift yourself though, and things change, mostly. Peak torque comes on nice and low at 2,400 RPM, but given the modest numbers it's more of a push than a shove. Push away hard in the straight line, changing around the 5,000 RPM mark, and the Renault is fast enough. It has a claimed 0-100 km/h time of 7.1 seconds and we measured our own standing sprint quite close to that. Nothing too scary or thrill-inducing, but entertaining enough. Mid-range response isn't a stamp and shoot procedure. Things move forward but there is a definite delay there, waiting to get all the numbers lined up. Proper enjoyment then comes up against another usability hurdle: the placement of the shift paddles on the steering wheel. Or more to the point, not on the steering wheel. They sit just a little bit too high on the hub to be supremely comfortable with your hands at 3 and 9, but that's neither here nor there. Where the problem lies is in their pointy flat in-ear design. The paddles extend up, but not down. What this means is that you are in a left-hand sweeper and need to shift from second to third, you're all good as the paddle tip extends to about the 1 o'clock position. Turn right though, and you're stuck as the study end finishes just below the March 3rd, meaning if your hand is naturally down at 5 o'clock, you're holding the gear until the road straightens out. I know this won't come up much when making your way along Church Street in Brighton, but even on a mildly entertaining drive on a winding road, it can be a pain. It's a pity as the rest of the dynamic package is pretty good. The GT rides well, both in town and out, and its four-wheel steering party trick is certainly noticeable. The rear wheels will turn counter to the front at speeds under 60 km/h, which gives a pseudo-drifting sensation around roundabout and makes parallel parking a breeze. Even lane changes become an experience as you feel the back of the car following along behind. It's a little unsettling at first, but makes the Mégane easy to deal with in urban areas. At higher speeds, the wheels turn the same direction as the front to help with stability. The result is a car that feels more like an all-wheel drive than a French wheel drive. The steering still feels natural, especially on lighter radius vents, but the car just feels more stable and there's barely any torque steer tug from the wheel under throttle load. It's not going to unsettle the Golf GTI as a benchmark for hot hatch dynamics, but there's a good part here in the GT and it bodes well for the more potent Renault model to come. The 2017 Renault Mégane GT is a stylish and entertaining 5-door hatch. Yes, it has some frustrations, but they are the things that tend to become second nature over time, and being a little bit different always carries a cost. It's well priced for the segment and Renault is offering low finance rates and a 5-year warranty and roadside assistance package on the Mégane at the moment, which helps to sweeten the deal. The Renault isn't ideal for everyone, but for mine the classy looks and enjoyable drive make this something worth considering, especially if you don't mind being a little bit different.